What's up everyone, in today's video, we'll be looking at the malicious compliance subreddit, where following the rules can lead to the most drama. Today's stories are filled with classroom silence and scummy neighbors. Let's get right into it. During the summer of 2007, my friends were hardcore into skating. I was around 13 years old at the time, and my friends and I just started to get pretty good, which is what you'd expect considering we skated 24/7. I grew up with a single mother who worked 3 jobs to make ends meet, so I didn't really have much growing up besides my friends and a skateboard. It was my birthday early that summer, and one of my friend's parents, they essentially raised me, bought me a new skateboard, which meant a lot to me, considering that's all I got that year. In my neighborhood, there was this curb which came in from the street and wrapped around a tree and dumped back onto the road. Once we figured out we could grind around this, that's all we did if we weren't at the skate park or doing God knows what else. Well, the problem with this curb is that it was in front of the neighbor's house, which was known across the neighborhood of being the typical annoying, nosy, and complaining sack of potatoes. Anyways, one day my friends and I are skating the curb like we did nearly every day that summer, but this time he came out and confronted my friends. Unfortunately for me, I didn't see him and I was coming flying into the curb. Last second I see him and bail from the curb, and my board landed right in front of him. And with one fell swoop, he planted his foot directly through my board, and just like that, my birthday gift is broken. Fast forward 3 years and I have a new stepdad who made life that much better and actually started to have a relationship with my mother and him. During that summer, I was helping my stepdad and his car garage, helping fix and service cars and a bunch of stuff. Then one day, the man who broke my board came in and needed help with his car. As soon as he saw me, he was reminded about what he did to my board in a joking-like fashion, like what he did was funny. My neighbor came in saying that his brakes kept making squeaky noises and demanded, quite rudely if I'm honest, that we fix it instantly, saying that I want my car to be in tip-top shape, whatever you have to do. Then smirked at me and said, I can afford it. My stepdad said we were swamped and that we will call him when it's ready. He eventually sighed and said some crude remark as he stormed out, leaving the car. I told my stepdad that I'll look at the car, and it turns out all he needed was a simple oil change. And here's where the malicious compliance kicks in. It did occur to me that he said he wanted his car in tip-top shape and that he could afford it. I noticed that, well, he would certainly want some brand new filters and while we're at it, let's replace the battery and maybe the whole brake system as well. It's important to note that even though we didn't live in a rich area, this man had quite a bravado about him and would constantly flex his seemingly minimal wealth upon everyone he could. I ended up racking up closer to $2,000 worth of parts and was quite pleased with myself. Fast forward to the end of the day, my father had left and I was going to lock the shop up and my neighbor came to collect. And as I gave him the bill, he looked in anger and disbelief, saying, "Why did you replace the battery and brakes and whatnot?" And I simply replied with, "You said tip-top shape, so I thought you could afford it." He then begrudgingly agreed and paid his bill. Did he break a maybe $50 skateboard? Yes. Did I rack up pointless replacements on perfectly fine parts that we later reused? Also yes. This happened when I was around 12 years old. It was my birthday, and in the morning I came out and asked my dad what he got me for my birthday. He didn't even wish me happy birthday, and he was quite busy with work as well, so he just smirked and said, "I got you the bunch of bananas over there." I was so upset and mad because he wouldn't even look up or wish me happy birthday, so I ate all 12 bananas because they were my present and I could. I'll never forget my dad's face when he found out. I'm a teacher. We have Go Guardian on the computers we lent out to students, and our in-school suspension specialist manages it. This software allows us to see what a student is doing and is apparently on from about 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. We were sent an email last month with a count of how many times students had accessed inappropriate websites since we went to distance learning about a month prior. We were told we had to contact the parents. My fellow teachers threw a fit and refused. The counselors did too. Our principal cracked down and told us we will do this. I came in and suggested that if we had more information, the conversation would go easier. What was the category of the inappropriate website? Was it porn or games? Those would be punished differently in my household. Was the student logged in or was it a family member? We got an email a few days later saying we would get more details of the infractions. And now I know my 6th grader's porn preferences. Essentially, due to poverty and my own self-reliance, I was raised by Sonic the Hedgehog, Crash Bandicoot, and both Banjo and Kazooie. We were a poor family. I was a well-behaved child, and every penny of pocket and chore money went on video games. Parents were happy because they needed to work and couldn't afford a babysitter, and the Genesis/PlayStation/N64 were enough to keep me busy. Fast forward to today, and I've come first on several Fortnite matches, enough to say that video games remain an important part of my life. Mrs. Narfs has always known that me and video games are a package deal, and we've even played a lot together on games such as Wii Sports, PlayStation Move, and Just Dance, the latter being reluctantly, but so be it. Anyways, after nearly 15 years together, I play video games too much. Animal Crossing came out, bite me. So I agreed to play 1 hour, exactly 1 hour a day. Well, I set my timer going. The laundry needs putting out, timer paused. There are dishes on the rack that need to be put away, timer paused. Can you help me translate these paragraphs into English? Of course, my love. Timer paused. My boss has introduced some changes. I think she may have misunderstood. What, in your opinion, should I say to placate her? Timer paused. So it gets to around 10:30 p.m. and dear Mrs. Narfs is yelling at me for not being in bed. But I haven't had my hour of video games, dearest. Turns out that an exact hour of video games was way more than I was getting, and I am not renegotiating. Happy smiley face. The high school I went to was academically successful, but also a very strict school. It was so strict that we weren't even allowed to wear any socks other than white plain ones. Considering that it was a private school and everyone was there by their own choice, nobody really had a problem with that. One of the rules was, school uniforms that we were wearing has to be visible. And now this rule normally doesn't stand out compared to some other insane rules, but one winter season, our school decided to save some money by decreasing the heating, and they started to barely heat the buildings. As students, we were freezing, but when we came up with this to the principal, she said there was nothing she could do because orders were coming from up. I'd like to add that she has an air conditioner in her room, and she heats the room to a degree that students started to hang out near her room. So understandably, we started to wear our jackets during lessons, and our teachers were okay with this, since they were also wearing really thick clothes themselves. But when the principal saw so many of us breaking the rules, she went berserk on us and made it very clear that our school uniforms have to be visible. After freezing the whole day, I came up with my malicious idea. And yes, indeed, there was a rule stating that uniforms have to be visible, but there's actually no rule saying that we can't wear jackets or anything of that kind. So wearing the school uniform on top of the jacket was technically okay, and I decided to do exactly that. I managed to convince some of my friends to do the same as well. We were looking ridiculous and we were aware of that, but we were warm and we thought it was a cool thing that we were having a stance. When the teacher entered our classroom, he wanted us to stop joking around and wear our uniforms normally. But we defended ourselves by trying to explain we are actually following the rules and we have no other way to keep ourselves warm, and we won't stop until there is an alternative solution. The teacher decided to go with it, and when our classmates saw that we weren't forced to take the jackets off, they decided to join us. Next lesson, We were with the same teacher, and I guess in the break time, the principal heard some people were wearing jackets, so she decided to make a surprise visit to our class. When she entered our class, she was so shocked she couldn't say anything for at least 10 seconds. What she saw was 30 plus puffy students wearing their school uniforms on top of their jackets. When she came to her senses, she turned to our teacher and asked why we were like this and why he didn't do anything about it. And our teacher explained the situation and told her that we are not really breaking any rules, so he didn't see a reason to stop us, and he thought it was actually nice that students were having a peaceful protest. The principal said that this would be discussed later and left the room. And we continued to wear our clothes like this until the end of the day, and when we were in the last lesson, the principal announced that until next notice, we were allowed to wear a jacket on top of our uniform. After around 2 months, they later announced their own uniform jacket, and we were forced to buy and wear that. But at least we were free for the last 2 months. Too long, didn't read. The school cut heating and didn't let us wear jackets because of uniforms must be visible rule. We wore our uniforms on top of the jackets instead. The principal admitted defeat and let us wear jackets until they started to sell their own jackets. The cast: teacher, me, and the principal. One day in class, I was doing my work when a classmate asked me for help, so I started helping him. Little did I know helping other students was against school policy, in my teacher's words, and she told me to be silent the rest of the day. Malicious compliance activated. The rest of class, I was absolutely silent. OP, can you answer this question? OP, please answer the question. OP, you don't want me calling your parents, do you? Okay, now you have to go to the principal's office. I went to the principal's office and only then broke the no talking rule. OP, why weren't you talking in class today? The teacher told me not to. OP, never do something like that again. I was given a warning and my teacher was mad at me all year. This was over a decade ago in high school. We're all very familiar with some of these ridiculous dress codes that schools have and the poorly thought out justifications for these rules. Most of the students and teachers agreed that these rules went a little over the top and had a general agreement on what was fine and what wasn't. Not the vice principal. She seemed to be on a warpath with the dress code. This story is about the day that I ended up in her line of fire. I had a favorite pair of jeans that I wore constantly. I ended up ripping a small hole in the knee. It was maybe an inch in diameter, so I was honestly shocked she even noticed it. But oh boy, did she notice it. She went on a tirade about how inappropriate it was for me to be showing my skin. Mind you that students were allowed to wear shorts that went just above the knee, and demanding that I change. I told her that I didn't bring a change of clothes with me, to which she responded that I would be suspended if I didn't change. So I told her that I would go to the main office to call my mom and ask her to bring me a new pair of pants. We lived right around the corner, so it would only take 10 minutes tops. She seemed unprepared for me to have a resolution other than suspension, and finally decided that I had to wait for my mom in ISS, in-school suspension. I had never been suspended in school or otherwise, so I was pretty angry that this was what set me in. My mom brought me new pants and I went to my next class, which happened to be art. Here, I formulated an idea. I grabbed some masking tape, wrote vulgar twice in the largest font I could fit on it, and put each one on each knee of my jeans. I made sure to show off my new accessories to the assistant principal, claiming that I had found a way to ensure that no more holes ripped and my knees wouldn't show. I thought her head might pop off, but I hadn't broken the rules, so there was nothing she could do. She never bothered me about the dress code again. Thanks for watching today's video. Please leave a like and subscribe, and leave a comment down below of what you thought or learned today. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next video.